Okay, this would be a very, very short video with some brief instructions on how to complete this lab. It's a very straightforward lab. Let me present my screen to start with here. There we go. Now, let's take a look at the actual lab. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do with any lab is read the introduction. The introduction itself is very straightforward, so I'm not going to spend any time explaining that. Basically, the AQI is a measure of the air quality, and the lower the number, the better, right? So 0 is the best, 500 is the worst. That's basically what that means. And again, read the instructions, excuse me, you should have already read the introduction before you even got to the link to this video, so there's not much to say about that, but if you have questions, let me know. The lab goes on to explain the scientific method, which again, you should have already read, you should understand, but if you don't, let me know. Then we get into the procedure. Basically, what you're going to do is think about a bunch of different locations and think about where you are, and you're going to form a hypothesis, whether you think the air quality is better where you are or in some other location. So that will be the beginning of the lab, right, is to think about that and write down your hypothesis. So there's a list of locations. Now, I would change this every semester. So if you're seeing different cities on this video than you see on your actual lab worksheet, that's okay. That's on purpose, right? I changed them. But anyway, let me give a really quick example. Excuse me, let me back up. Not only are you going to write which place you think has the better air quality, but a brief description of why. And as I mentioned in the directions, there's some places where you just might not be familiar with them, in which case you can say, it is just a guess. However, you cannot write it is just a guess for a majority of these. If you do that, then that just tells me you're probably just being lazy and you don't want to think about it. Likewise, you shouldn't have the same answer for all of them. So I don't want to see, like, for every single answer, I think the air quality is better here. It is just a guess, right? Because then all you have to do is type it once, copy it, and paste it. And that tells me you're not actually thinking about these things. So I want you to think about them. I also did mention, however, that some people might not be familiar with any of these locations, in which case, contact me beforehand and explain why you're not familiar with any of these locations. And then in that case, then you could write, it is just a guess. So for example, we do have international students, and I don't expect international students to be familiar with a majority of these locations. So again, if that's your situation, contact me. But very briefly, I give you an example of how to do it. Question 1, is the air quality better where I am or in Los Angeles? Why? And I would literally, if I was doing this, I would say, I think the air quality is better where I am, because I've always pictured LA as a city with a lot of smog, right? And that's fine. Now, is it still like that? Is that old news? I don't know. That doesn't matter. But that is the way I picture LA, and that is an acceptable reason, an acceptable explanation to my hypothesis. So anyway, you're going to do that for the list of cities. There's some little extra credit here. You can also add more locations. So if you're wondering, like, I wonder if the air quality is better where I am or in the the U.S. Virgin Islands, someplace there, right? You could add to that, right? Add some more, do some more hypotheses, and test it. Excuse me, let me back up one more step. So yeah, you're going to, again, list your hypotheses about where you are versus another place, and then pay attention towards the end here. Then you have to think about all the cities that you've, listed above, and then think about all of them and say, okay, which one would be the worst, and why do you think it would be the worst? And then, of course, the opposite of that, which one do you think is the best and why? And then finally here, as I'm about to explain, you're going to use a website to look up each location and look up the AQI. So then it asks, how else could you assess the air quality? Because remember, in the real scientific process, when you are testing a hypothesis, right, you have multiple predictions to test the hypothesis. So one prediction might be, if I look up the AQI, then I will find that the AQI is better where I am than the other place, right? That's one prediction. But there's other ways to do it, and you should do it other ways, right? You should look up, you should test your hypotheses multiple ways. So I'll give one example, and you can't use it here because I'm about to use it. So what's another way you could assess the air quality of these various locations? Well, maybe you could look up the incidences of I don't know, lung cancer, for example. It's like, oh, well, I looked it up, and per capita, there's more incidence of lung cancer in LA than there is in, where I am in Scott Depot, West Virginia, right? So that's one thing. Now, that's not going to prove that the air quality is better, but that's just one more thing you could do to test your hypothesis. So anyway, that's just one example. Moving forward, excuse me, I heard a little chime. Let me see what this is about. Yes, I am still here. Okay. Anyway, moving forward, that's what you do. Let's talk about how you're going to test your hypothesis. To keep things simple, I'm giving you very explicit instructions. I'm telling you, use this website and look up each location. Now, really, I don't care what website you use. So if you want to use another website or another source, that's fine, as long as you include your source right here, right? So if you already know where you want to go to look up your AQI, the AQIs, excuse me, then use that website. Again, you don't have to use this. Not only that, but this is a website. Sometimes websites don't work. So this link I'm giving you, by the time you get around to doing this lab, it might be a dead link, in which case I would appreciate you contacting me and letting me know. But again, just in case that does happen, don't just throw your hands up in the air and say, okay, I'm done. Like, imagine there's probably many sources, many different ways you can get the AQI other than what I'm listing here. But let's look at what I'm listing here. So you could hit Control click, and that will bring you to the link. Or what I like to do is I will right click it. I will copy the hyperlink. I will go to my web browser and paste it in there. There we go. And that's it, right? And then all you have to do is type in your zip code. So for me, 25560. There we go. And there is my AQI for right now. My AQI is 35, right? That's all you have to do. And then again, for your next location, you'll just hit the zip code right there and look at your next location. That's all you have to do. Anyway, going back to the lab. All right. Yeah, so that's it. So you're going to use that website to fill in this chart. So obviously the first thing you can do is put in your location. Like for me, I would write the words Scott Depot, and then I would write 25560. And then what was the number I said? I would write 35 right here. And then identify air quality category. Well, it is good, right? If it was in the yellow, it would be different. Orange, red, it would be different. Right now, mine's in the green, and it says right there, good. So, and that's what I would write. And then again, you would just do that for every location. And it's not like you need to guess the zip codes. I've given you the zip codes. So you just do that for each location. Mind you too, if you did the extra credit where you wrote hypotheses for other locations, then you're going to want to put that here. So maybe you highlight this line, you right click it, and you put, insert rows below, right? However many extra locations you did, that's how many rows you're going to insert. Anyway, after you've collected your data, right, you're not done with your experiment yet. Now you need to analyze your data, and that's this next portion. You just have to go back and tell me, was your hypothesis correct or incorrect? Right? Was the air quality better where you are, or actually, I need to fix this. LA. Again, when you do this, the cities will probably be different because I changed this from semester to semester. But yeah, that's it. It's very simple, right? So that's a two-part question. A lot of people miss that because they only say, yes, my hypothesis was correct, and they leave it at that. But remember, you also have to say, was the air quality better where you are or in Los Angeles? So yes, my hypothesis was correct. The air quality was better where I am, so on and so forth. And then you're just going to do that through all the locations. And again, if you did the extra credit, or if you're attempting to do the extra credit where you did additional questions, then you're going to want to throw those in there too. Anyway, another thing I see people miss a lot is this right here, the last two. Yeah. Was your hypothesis correct or incorrect? All right. Or that's what we've been doing. Which location had the best air quality? Okay. That's sort of what we've been doing. And here's the part where people miss what was it? So that's a three-part question. Yes, my hypothesis was correct. Yellowstone National Park had the best air quality, and it was 17, right? Whatever the case may be. Same thing with the worst air quality. It's a three-part question, so make sure you do it. And then finally, you're going to make a graph. And remember, a graph should make sense to somebody who's never even seen this lab. You should be able to take this graph and show it to somebody who has no idea what this lab is, and it should make sense. And at this point, we're halfway through the semester, so that's all I need to remind you about a graph. But if you need help, as always, let me know. Just to be specific, you should have a bar graph on the x-axis. That's the bottom one right there. You should have a list of the cities. So, Scott Depot, LA, right? They should be listed at the bottom right there on the x-axis. And on the y-axis will just be the numbers, right? So it'll be the AQI. Pretty simple. Honestly, even if you had your axes swapped and you had, the cities listed on the y-axis and the numbers on the x-axis, that works. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm being specific because as a college educated citizen, you should be able to follow explicit instructions, right? That's part of being an adult, part of being in the workforce, is following instructions. So yes, if you get those swapped, you will lose a point. Anyway, that's it. And then at the end, as always, make sure you save it as a PDF before you upload it. I know that seems trivial, but it kind of goes along with what I was saying up here about you should be able to follow explicit instructions. But in addition to that, the reason I do this, other than that, the bigger reason is a lot of times if you don't save it as a PDF and then you upload it, sometimes just whole pages go missing, in which case, you're going to lose points because if you're missing pages, you miss points. So that's it. As always, if you have help, let me know. Usually the biggest problem I get, the biggest email I get is, hey, the link isn't working. So again, thank you for letting me know. But also, if that happens, don't wait for me to fix it. Go ahead and just use the Google machine really quickly. Let's say you can take a look at that. Air quality index by location. I don't know, whatever else you want to Google. So I'm gonna do that. Let's see what. Obviously, that's the first one that pops up. What are some of the other options? What is this breezometer? Let's take a look at that. Check your air quality. Okay. 25560 is my current location. Scott Depot. Yep, that's me. And I've never seen this website before in my life, but look at that. There you go. So it has my air quality. So again, there are multiple sources. So don't feel like you have to use mine, and don't feel like you're stuck not being able to do the lab until you hear back from me if the link I gave you doesn't work. So that's it. Like I keep saying, if you need help, let me know. Also, really quick before I leave, if you have any ideas of ways I can improve this lab, please let me know. I'm always looking to improve things. So good luck, and I hope to hear from you soon.